Clow.
Present by Zoom.
Thank you. Vice Chair Lawrence,
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Here.
Commissioner Lucero,
Here.
Commissioner Reland,
Here.
Commissioner Smith,
Here.
and Commissioner Morondo is excused. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Commissioner Reland, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next we have approval of the agenda. Are there any changes from staff?
Madam Chair, no changes. Thank you.
Can I clarify, Mr. Klug, are actions 2023-6961 and 2023-6962 going to be heard together?
Madam Chair, that's correct. I apologize. When the agenda was originally published on PrimeGov, there was an error that we fixed the other day. So it's correct now. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Were there any changes from the commission? If not, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Chair Clow.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Commissioner Reland,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
Okay, next we have the approval of the minutes of the August 3rd, 2023 meeting. Were there any changes from staff?
Madam Chair, no changes. Thank you.
Any changes from the commission?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Reland,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith, Chair Clow.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
And next we have approval of the findings and conclusions in case 2023-6486, the 3900 Constellation Drive Development Plan. Were there any changes from staff? Any changes from the commission? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Reland,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Chair Clow.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
Okay, there is no old business, so that brings us to new business, cases 2023-6961 and 2023-6962, the Villas de las Saleras Unit 3 Final Development Plan and Unit 3 Final Subdivision Plat.
And yes, Commissioner Lawrence, I just wanted to, we're doing something different tonight. I'm going to be running the presentation off of my laptop for Ms. Russell. So just give us a little, and I'll be sharing it on the screen up there for folks on Zoom as well.
Okay, and Ms. Russell, I believe this is the first time you've presented to the commission. If you wouldn't mind just saying who you are. Thank you.
Let's see.
No. Okay, there we are. Thank you. Again, Chair Clow, Commissioners, my name is Charlotte Russell. I'm a senior planner in the Land Use Planning and Land Use Department, and I'm here for the first time this evening presenting cases for Via de las Saleras and for the George O'Keeffe parking variance. Go ahead. Okay, thank you, Maggie. Thank you. So tonight, this is our staff report and the site map. It is case number, and I'm going to read a little bit from my own notes. That's a little difficult to see over there. So it's case number 2023, 6961 and 6962. The initial hearing date is tonight, September, for the final subdivision and master plan is development plan is tonight, September 7th. The applicant is Pulte Group of New Mexico. And the request is for Unit 3 final development plan and final subdivision plat. And the location is Los Solares Master Plan, Track 13. It's at 4601 Rail Runner Road. I'm the case manager. The zoning is R10, and that's for residential 10 dwelling units per acre. And that's part of a master plan for Los Solares Master Plan as amended. The applicant hosted their pre-app on the 25th of March of 2021. And then the applicant hosted their ENN on October 18th of 2022. The proposal is for 40 single-family residential lots on approximately 6.8 acres. And the case numbers, thank you, as we read. Okay, so we're going to move on to the recommendation. The staff is recommending approval of the final development plan, case number 2023-6961, subject to conditions of approval and technical corrections outlined in the report before you. And staff recommends approval of the final subdivision plat, case number 2023-6962, with conditions of approval and technical corrections listed in this report, or the report you have before you. There will be two motions required in the following order for this case: approve or deny the final development plat, case 6961, subject to the conditions of approval and technical corrections recommended by staff. And another motion to approve or deny the final subdivision plat, subject to the conditions of approval and technical corrections recommended by staff. And then I'll give you a little bit about the project timeline. On September 2nd, 2021, a similar proposal for 44 lots of paired townhouses was reviewed and denied by the Planning Commission. At their September 28th, 2022 hearing, the governing body agreed with the Planning Commission's concerns regarding the proposed density. The applicant revised their submittal and reduced the density from 44 lots to 40 lots. Then on April 6th of this year, the Planning Commission approved the preliminary development plan, case 2022-6102, and preliminary subdivision plat 2022-6103. On May 31st, the governing body granted approval of the previously requested general plan amendment, the master plan amendment, and the rezoning request. The applicant is now seeking approval of the final development plan and final subdivision plat to develop 40 single-family homes on the subdivision track 13 of the Los Solares Master Plan. And a little bit about the project description. The subject property is part of the Los Solares Master Plan area and zoned R10, residential 10 dwelling acres per unit. Units 1 and 2 of the Villas de Los Solares development, formerly Ross Peak, are located west of the subject property across Rail Runner Road. Pulte Group of New Mexico has constructed all dwellings for units 1 and 2, as well as associated public infrastructure improvements. The subject property is bound on the north by Governor Miles Road and vacant property zone C2, general commercial. The eastern boundary is low density, single family residential zone R3, residential 3 dwelling units per acre. Okay, so a little bit about the project and project analysis in areas where there were considerable discussion back and forth with the project team and staff. Access and traffic. The traffic impact study was submitted to the city in 2015 for all 3 phases of Villa de Los Solares, including Unit 3. The recommended improvements to Governor Miles Road, including removal of the sidewalk and construction of a 10-foot wide city trail and construction of Rail Runner Road to Governor's Miles, are now complete. Staff worked with the applicant, including a redesign of the site plan to ensure the secondary emergency access point would not be obstructed by illegally parked vehicles. And the HOA, the homeowners association, must enforce no parking regulations at the site. Pedestrian and bicycle connectivity and trails was another area that we paid a lot of focus to. So there is a public bus route, and it runs through the community college. And that uses Governor Miles Road to access the community college. A concrete pad was constructed by Pulte to accommodate a bus stop bench. And the bus stop is within 1/4 mile of the homes in Unit 3. And that's considered 1.5 miles is considered a walkable area or a walkable distance. There is an existing sidewalk and bike lane on the south side of the Governor Miles Road. All public roads planned for this development will have sidewalks. A trail connection at the southern edge of the development will provide connectivity to the Nova Ade of the development and the Monte de Sol Charter School. Okay, so conditions of approval there in your packets you received, there are quite a few. There's about 10 conditions of approval, but I highlighted a few of them for tonight's presentation, and they must be completed and prior to the applicant recording their development plan. So one from current planning was to provide pedestrian access from the front door of each unit to the public way, to the public right of way. There shall be 2 walkways adjacent to the homes that provide access to the front doors of units 31 through 40. And they will provide a central green space in the center that will permit passive recreational uses. A few of the conditions of approval from our wastewater division include extending the proposed road in alley 1 up to the sewer easement to provide access to the sewer manhole 11. And the remaining section of the sewer easement going toward Rail Runner shall use the ground coverage, and that is, okay. Thanks, Maggie. Excuse me. Let's see. So the Coyote Mist gravel outlined in the landscape plans, that was from our wastewater division. An additional one is in order to improve the access where the water and sewer lines cross, they're going to move the stormwater manhole 9 and piping further away from the water and sewer crossings into the cul-de-sac. This is some information about the homes that are being provided, affordable homes. The requirement of the project for 40 dwelling units is 8, and the applicant is meeting their affordable requirements by supplying 8 affordable homes on the site. And then lastly, this is to do with the phasing, but they are called units. Unit 1 and 2 have been completed, and the proposed unit 3 will complete all phases for the Villas de los Solares project. And then I can take questions if there are any.
Do any of the commissioners have any clarifying questions on the staff presentation? Commissioner Smith?
Yes, excuse me. Just wondering, given the rejection of the first proposal and the lots were reduced from 44 to 40, were there any other considerations, or was it simply too crowded in the view of given the zoning, which would seem to suggest that 44 was okay? Were there any other issues that have been mitigated as well?
Thank you for your question, Commissioner and Chair Clow. I do not have an answer as far as there were no questions brought to my attention related to the end result of the 40 lots. But if there are other answers from my staff, we can definitely get back to you on that.
Thanks. Yeah, Chair Clow or Chair Lawrence and Commissioner Smith. Can you clarify exactly, because there was concerns expressed about density, and the applicant reduced it to 40. Are you talking about other, designs within the subdivision around access or, utilities or anything like that? I just want to make clear.
There's no plot behind the question. It's zoned R10.
Right.
44 is well within R10. It was concluded to be too dense. And I was wondering, so, okay, but were there other mitigating factors that fell under that? Or is that simply the judgment that had to be met, or the consequence that had to be resolved?
Yeah, I don't know if you, I don't, yeah.
Chair Lawrence, Commissioner Smith, my basic understanding is units 1 and 2 are, a very similar model to units 3. And maybe the applicant can speak to this a little bit better than me, but I think they're basically the same model. And so I think due to the orientation and size of the lot, there were concerns about the density because of how it is being laid out a little bit different than the first 2 phases. But other than that, it's basically just a complete, continuation of the same thing. So I think it was on from that perspective, there weren't any additional concerns.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for staff before we move on to the applicant presentation? Okay.
Thank
then
you.
If the applicant would like to come up.
You swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Nathan Manzanares. I'm with NM Land Solutions located at 915 Mercer Street, Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I just want to say thank you to staff. This has been a long haul, as kind of mentioned in the project history. We've actually been in front of this board a number of times with the original proposal and now the final proposal that we're hoping to move forward on and ultimately build out. Sorry about that. So I apologize. I didn't realize that I had to. Okay. Yeah.
Madam Chair, if I may, with the remodeling of the council chambers, there were a few technical difficulties that are still being overcome. And so we're having to present in a way that we wouldn't normally have to until those are fixed.
Thank you for explaining. I'm
Yeah.
sure that we're willing to accommodate that.
I'm not.
Everyone except Commissioner Faulkner is willing to accommodate that.
You should too, Phil. That's what I was talking about. It's like Zoom and share. Email it to me.
All right, sorry about that. Well, we're getting through this. Just kind of give a brief history on the proposal. As stated, the original proposal included a rezoning, a master plan amendment, and general plan amendment to get to an R10. The reason behind that rezoning was to allow for the townhome product. The R10 zoning district allows for common walls and is a lot more, suitable for this type of product that is consistent with phases 1 and 2. The initial proposal at 44 units had some quality of life issues that were brought up by prior planning commission meetings, and those were all addressed. The preliminary plan, which was approved and looked at by this board back in April, showed that there was more walkability to the site. We incorporated bigger side yards. We incorporated more sidewalks, access points to the existing sidewalks, as well as just provided longer driveways, basically fixed any concerns or issues that were brought up in phases 1 and 2. We're actually more density wise, more of an R6, but because we needed those dimensional standards, the R10 was ultimately granted. And, as stated, a number of prerequisites have been met for this project. I'm trying to log in. I apologize. Doesn't want to let me. What? Oh, Maggie. Yeah, sorry, it was in my back pocket. But yeah, I think that ultimately this type of design that has been incorporated in this has also been incorporated in other Pulte projects throughout the city, one of which was Caja del Oro. And it really does provide, more amenities to the community, not only the community that lives within the development, but also the surrounding area, more walkability, bigger yards, and bigger driveways. So that was one of the big items that was addressed with that. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Maggie. Okay. Oh, no worries. All righty. All right. So as stated, we do have an approved preliminary plat, preliminary development plan, and approved rezonings, master plan amendments, and general plan amendments. Those prerequisites have been completed. The site is located via Governor Miles and Rail Runner Road, as you can see depicted on the vicinity map there. That's just an overall of the site. You can see units 1 and 2 to the west of the proposed development, which are all townhome style developments. And we were actually told by the governing body that they liked that townhome product. They think that it's a good product for that area and provides a mix of housing types in the Los Solares master planned area. You could skip that slide. That's just the request before you. I think we've covered that. Staff did a good job in presenting that. And we have the next slide, Maggie, shows the proposed development plan. If you zoom in a little bit, you can see that those yellow hatched lines are the proposed sidewalks within the development. And it basically provides a passage in between each unit onto the sidewalk or existing trail system within the development. Yeah, there you go. And there's also a little pocket park to the south that we added as an extra amenity and additional parking as well. So there's more than enough parking for this development. And like I said, I think we're at the point where we've worked with staff, we've redesigned this a number of times, and we feel confident that this is a good product moving forward. Also, Maggie, if you just want to go to the bottom right, it kind of gives a detail of what the side yards will look like that provided for more of separation in between units and that walkability. And one slide down just shows a rendering of the product that we're going to be proposing that's very similar to units 1 and 2. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you all. I stand for any questions. Thank you, Maggie.
Thank you, Mr. Manzanares. Are there any clarifying questions from the commission? Okay, then we'll move on to public comment. This is a public hearing. If anyone is here to speak on these requests, please come forward. I'm not seeing anyone here in the room. Maggie, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak on this project?
Thank you, Commissioner Lawrence. I don't believe so, but if anyone is on Zoom, please, who would like to talk during the public comment section, please raise your hand.
I am seeing that there is not anyone on Zoom who would like to speak on this project. So with that, I will close the public hearing and turn it over to any discussion from the commission. And if there is no discussion, then I will entertain a motion. Commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that case 2023-6961 and 6962 I can do these together.
Staff, would you prefer that they are separate, or are you okay in this case with them being included in one motion? We hear different things, I think, depending on the year.
It would be more appropriate to, excuse me, vote on them separately.
Okay. And I move that case 2023-6961 VS De Las Solares Unit 3 Final Development Plan be approved.
With conditions of approval and technical
Of
corrections.
course.
Thank you.
Second.
Commissioner Reland,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Clow,
Yes.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
And Madam Chair, I move that case 2023-6962 VS De Las Solares Unit 3 Final Subdivision Plat with conditions of approval and whatever that other thing was you said, be approved.
Second.
Commissioner Smith.
Yeah.
Chair Clow,
Yes.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Reland.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
Great, thank you. Then the next,
Can I make a comment?
go ahead, Chair Clow.
Thank you. I just wanted to say to Charlotte that I thought her report was excellent. It was extremely thorough, and what I really liked was all of the materials that she provided in terms of all of the history. So I really wanted to tell her thank you. It was a really, really good report.
Agreed. Thank you. All right, that moves us on to the next case on our agenda, case 2023-7081, 123 and 135 Grant Avenue variance to subsection 14-8.6 C2B. Ms. Russell, please
Thank
go
you
ahead.
again. And I will just ask, I was not sworn in. I'm not sure if that, I don't need to be. Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure. All right, so I'm here again tonight to present the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum variance to subsection 14-8.6 C2B. And it is located at 123 Grant Avenue. Okay, so do you want to go to the next slide, Maggie? Okay, okay. Okay, thank you. And the staff report reads as the location is 123 Grant Avenue. Myself, I'm a case manager along with Dan Escobar, who was the previous case manager on this project. The zoning is BCD MAR, which is the Business Capital District, the Marcy Subdistrict. It is located, the project is located in the overlay district of the Historical Downtown Archaeological District and Downtown Eastside. The initial pre-app meeting was held on May 11th, 2023, and the applicant hosted an ENN meeting on the 27th of June. The proposal is a variance to subsection 14.86 C2B to allow off-site parking greater than 600 feet from the nearest property line. And this is a little bit more of the case caption that was presented to the public. And again, our staff is recommending approval to the subject. We're recommending approval subject to conditions of approval and technical corrections outlined in this report and in attachment A. One motion is required for this case, approve or deny the case 2023-7081, variance to chapter 14, Santa Fe City Code 1987, subsection 14.86 C2B. Okay, and a little bit more on the project timeline. This project initially was granted variances, 2 offsite variances on November 4th of 2021. The outside variances are for construction of a 54,100 square foot Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. There were 2 variances granted, as I mentioned, which allow offsite parking within 600 feet from the project site. The variance is granted offsite parking within 615 feet to the McKenzie Chapel parking lot and 1,275 square feet to the San Francisco Street parking as shown below. Okay. And then due to a recent sale of the San Francisco Street parking lot that was originally approved, the applicant requests a new variance to subsection 14(8)(c)(2)(b) to allow offsite parking greater than 600 feet from the nearest property line. The new proposed offsite parking is located, it's closer. It's located 107 at 117 East Marcy Street. It's a parking garage, and the distance from the project site is 7.66 feet. And a little bit about the parking garage itself. The proposed parking garage on Marcy shall accommodate the number and the type of parking required for the development plan amendment. The applicant states that, quote, "The final location of the 70 spaces is to be designated for the museum and has not been finalized." And due to deficiencies in the accessible route location between the Marcy Plaza Garage and the museum, the applicant will accommodate all required ADA accessible parking spaces at the previously approved off-site parking at Chapel Street. It's immediately adjacent to the project site. All 70 spaces reserved for the museum of the Marcy at the Marcy Plaza will be standard parking spaces. And the new variance will help create and improve connectivity to the site from the downtown area to the east of the project site, and staff otherwise considers this change minor. And if you have any qualifying questions.
Thank you, Ms. Russell. Are there any clarifying questions from the commission at this time? Commissioner Lucero.
Thank you, Chair Lawrence. I wasn't here when the project site came before the planning commission, so I may have missed this, but
Sure.
I'm a cyclist. I'm always looking for, well, where do bikes park?
Where do-
And so I'd like to get some clarification on that. I'm hoping it's at the project site, but I just would want some clarification on that.
Okay, thank you. And at this moment, I cannot speak to that, but I do know the applicant is here and we'll speak to that a little bit more. But the previous analysis that we did at the previous lot, that is now being changed to the Chapel Street lot. It was, and there are requirements for bike parking. So I will let the applicant speak to that a little more.
Thank you.
Director Kloop, did you have something on that?
Thank you, Chair Lawrence. Commissioner Lucero, I just wanted to answer your question. So there will be bicycle parking required within 50 feet of the main entrance of the building per code. And the applicant can speak to how many are required. I don't have that in my mind, but there will definitely be bicycle parking.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Russell, I'll ask a clarifying question. So just so we understand exactly what it is we're approving a variance to the distance. They're saying they're going to meet this in this location, but they could potentially utilize this variance to meet it within anything within that distance if they needed to, or is it this variance only for this location?
The variance as requested is only for this location.
Okay, thank you. And also, this is not a variance in any way to the amount of parking that's requested.
It is not. It is just a variance to go beyond the 600 feet that are allowed from the property line. And I believe in our report, we talk about the fact that they will have to come back when they submit their development plan and talk about the amount of parking per the amended development plan.
Thank you, Ms. Russell.
Yes, thank you.
With that, I think we're ready for the applicant presentation.
Do you swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Commissioners, I'm Jennifer Jenkins with Jenkins Gavin. I am at 130 Grant Avenue, Suite 101, 87501. So I'll be brief. Charla, again, did an excellent job with the background on this project. And so as she mentioned, this body approved a couple of variances for 2 off-site parking locations. The one that was the furthest and frankly, the least desirable, that was almost 1,300 feet away. That property was sold and the museum was unable to negotiate a lease with the new property owner, but big silver lining that we were able to secure a much better location, right, literally 2 blocks from the museum. And so because, as you was pointed out, Commissioner Lawrence, because these variances are location specific, we had to come in with, basically, we have a replacement location, so we needed to come in and request a new variance, but it is a really significant improvement on the entire kind of parking strategy for the museum. And we will be providing bicycle parking. I think it's 10 spaces. I'm kind of grabbing that from memory, but it absolutely will be incorporated into the site plan. Yes, absolutely. So with that, I'd be happy. I have a lot of imagery I can show you if you want it, but I don't think you do. But I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Are there any questions or requests for additional information from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Lucero.
Thank you, Chair Lawrence. Just curious, are there any charging stations for electronic vehicles in either of the parking locations?
None are planned at this time. And as far as the Marcy Plaza parking garage, it's possible that they are doing that. I mean, it's a big garage. It's like a couple of hundred spaces. And so we're only taking a small portion of that. But there's so I don't really know the rest of that garage, what they might be providing. But not to my knowledge at this time.
Thank you.
Great.
This is a public hearing. I don't see anyone in the room who might like to speak. Maggie, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak on this matter?
Yeah, Chair Lawrence, I do not see any hands raised on Zoom.
Okay. In that case, I will then close the public hearing and open it to the commission for any additional discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve case 2023-7081, Grant Avenue variance to subsection 14-8.6.
Second.
Chair Clow,
Yes.
Commissioner Faulkner,
Yes.
Commissioner Lucero,
Yes.
Commissioner Reland,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
The motion has been approved.
Thank you. With that, we move on to staff communications. Is there any communication from staff this evening?
Yeah, thanks, Commissioner, Chair Lawrence and commissioners. I do have a few items that I wanted to address. We for an update on the land development code update process. We are hosting 2 public hearings this month on the 20th, Wednesday night at the Southside Library at 6 p.m. and here with you all on the 21st at 6 p.m. In council chambers. And the purpose of these meetings is to discuss the assessment report, which is the first main deliverable of phase 1 of the land development code update. Staff received a draft of that report several weeks ago. We've reviewed it, provided comments back to Clarion, and they will be finalizing that document and uploading it to the project website next week. So this will be available for public comment about a week in advance of those public meetings on the 20th and the 21st. We've also established, some of you know, technical working group and citizens advisory working group to assist us in the code update. Those groups each have about 12 to 15 members, and they will be meeting next the week of the 20th on the 20th and 21st. And their main first agenda item is to review the assessment report and make recommendations, for the phase 1 changes to the code, which, as a reminder, are what we call kind of code hygiene, really clarifying, adding graphics, increasing usability of the code. No main policy, changes in phase 1, but personally, I think phase 1 will be, a dramatic improvement over what we have now, and will, not only make the chapter 14 more accessible to the public, but make it more friendly for staff, for those of us who work with it every day, to understand and better, access the information they need in chapter 14. So it's pretty exciting. The other thing I wanted to say, and I'll kind of defer to Commissioner Faulkner, is the Planning Commission Policy Subcommittee has been meeting and moving forward with the mediation program, stakeholder outreach. And I also just wanted to welcome new Commissioner Ryland. I wasn't here last month, so look forward to working with you. And, I said on the way in, but please reach out if you, have any questions, while you're getting on board. And I think that's it for now. The general plan. Okay. Yeah. So, the general plan RFP, you may know the most up to date, Jason, about that, but it's out there.
Thank you, Maggie. Yeah, just a quick update on the general plan RFP. So it's with procurement right now being reviewed. And I think it's in the home stretch. So hopefully that will be released in the next few weeks. And we're planning on having it out for potential respondents for about 6 weeks. And so we'll keep you all up to date on that. But hopefully we can kick off the general plan update process, hopefully in the early winter before the beginning of the year.
Great, thank you. That is really exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, that moves
sorry.
us to matters from the commission. And Commissioner Faulkner, I do want you to be able to give a committee update, but Chair Cloud, did you have an announcement first?
Yes, thank you. So Commissioner Dan Pava was on the policy commission, but as he's no longer on the planning commission, TJ Reland has agreed to serve in his place. So he's been appointed to that commission, and I want to thank him for his service. I know it does involve substantial work, and it's an important committee.
Agreed. Thank you, Chair Cloud. Commissioner Faulkner, please go ahead.
So what we've done is we've worked with staff to design a kind of a strategy and a questionnaire to give to stakeholders in the community to get feedback from them. That was, yes, it is. Anyway, so this document was generated in collaboration with staff. It has some questions in it about the E&M process, where we've sent it to kind of a diverse group of stakeholders, including practitioners and community advocacy groups. And what was the other group? What was the other group?
You would ask.
Anyway, there's three groups that we sent it to who we feel were the affordable housing. That was the third group. So that has been sent out as of yesterday, I think.
Yes.
And so we're waiting to get feedback from them. And then on the 15th, we're going to be hosting some discussion sessions with each of these groups, where we're inviting them to our meeting, and we're going to take them in about 1.5 hour chunks. And so we'll just invite each group in for an hour and a half and get their feedback in kind of an informal discussion setting. So that's where we are. Welcome, TJ.
Great. Thank you for the update. Are there any other matters from the commission?
Jesse, I just wanted to say that I think you run a faster meeting than I do.
Thank you, Janet. I appreciate it. That's saying a lot because you're very efficient. All right. Thank you all. Then we're adjourned.